In this video, we're going to go through each of the extra natural deduction practice questions. There are 7 questions in this set, and you can use any of the rules we've learnt so far. Okay, question 1, I'm asked to prove not H. I have 4 premises. The first thing that strikes me as doable comes from lines 4 and lines 3. Line 3 has a disjunction as an antecedent, and line 4 has half of that disjunction. So I think I'm going to do addition on line 4 to get me not I or not H, which is the antecedent that I have on 3, and now I can do modus ponens with 5 and 3. Okay, so I have not G. I may as well just do double negation on that. Okay, and then I look at the lines that I have now, looking for what else I can do. It looks like I have the materials on line 1 and line 6 to do modus tollens. So maybe I didn't even need to do double negation on 6, but that's okay. Hasn't been a problem for me. Maybe it's just like going to be a redundant line. All right, so I'm going to do modus tollens 1 and 6 to get not F. Now I have not F. Look what I have on line 2. I have not F as an antecedent. So I'm going to do modus ponens to get the conditional that is the consequent of line 2. If H, then not G. Now I look at what else I have. I have not G on line 6. On line 9, the consequent of the conditional is not G. So I can use 6 and 9 to get not H via modus tollens, which is my conclusion. Next question. I see that lines 2 and 3 are just really complicated conjunctions, so I'm just going to simplify both of those conjunctions just to break both of the premises down into their simpler component parts. So I'm going to do simplification on line 3. I'm going to do simplification on line 3 again. I'm going to do simplification on line 2 and simplification on line 2 one more time. Okie doke. Now I look at what I have on line 5 and I look at what I have on line 1 and I think I can use a combination of commutativity and then association to convert line 1 into a disjunction that's going to enable me to use that disjunction together with not U. I'm going to be able to use those 2 lines and the rule of disjunctive syllogism. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start with commutativity on line 1, turning that into this disjunction. And now I'm going to do the rule, use associativity on line 8 to form this disjunction, and now I'm where I wanted to be. I have a disjunction, one of the disjuncts is U, and then I have not U on line 5, so I can use disjunctive syllogism on 5 and 9 to get not T or W. Now I'm just going to do material implication on line 10. Strikes me as something I can do, so I'll do that. 10 becomes if T then W, material implication on 10. And then what I'm going to do transposition on this. I'm going to do transposition on line 11 to get if not W, then not T. And it'll be clear in a moment why I'm doing that. Because what I think I want to do is commutativity on this with an eye to turning this disjunction into a conditional statement that I can then use in conjunction with the conditional that I have on line 12. I can use the conditional that I anticipate making up here with this conditional here. I can use hypothetical syllogism. So let me show you what I'm thinking. I'm going to do commutativity on 7. Then I'm going to do double negation on 13, turning the not T, that's my left disjunct, into a not T. Because now I'm going to use material implication on that, turning line 14 into a conditional, the antecedent of which is not T. And so now I have this conditional here, the antecedent is not T. At 12, I have a conditional, the consequent of which is not T. So I can do hypothetical syllogism on 12 and 15 to produce this conditional. If not W, then Y. Okie doke. Now, what am I going to do? I want two conditionals, I think, with antecedents not W and not X. The reason I think that is because I have this disjunction here, not W and not X. And if I could have a conditional not W then Y, and then a conditional that said not X then Z, I can use constructive dilemma to get my conclusion. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do transposition on line 4, turning this into a conditional, the antecedent of which is not X, which is what I want, and the consequent of which is going to be Z. So I've done transposition on 4 to give me this conditional, then I'm going to do double negation on 17, just to turn 17 into not X, then Z. Now I have 18, this conditional, 16, this conditional. If I make a conjunction of these two conditionals, so conjunction 16 and 18, now I have the materials to do constructive dilemma with 19 and 6. 19 and 6. 6 is a disjunction of the antecedents that I have down here. And so constructive dilemma enables me to infer a new disjunction, the disjuncts of which are the consequences of these conditionals. So constructive dilemma, 6 and 19 to give me Y and Z, which is my conclusion. Okay. First thing that looks like something that is doable, exploitation on 1. Then what I think I'm going to do, I'm going to just do commutativity on 3, swapping the A and B, swapping the order of the variables. I want to do this because I think I want to use exploitation again on this conditional at some point to make it look like my conclusion, because I see that my conclusion has a B out the front. If I do commutativity here, I'm at least going to get the B out the front, so I'll just do that to show you. I'm going to have the B out the front, and this is ripe for exploitation at some point, and it's going to give me a conditional with B as an antecedent, and that's at least something that I want in my conclusion. Before I do exploitation though, I see that I have to use hypothetical syllogism soon with 4 and with a slightly different version of 2. But not the version that I have at 2. I'm going to change 2 via transposition into if C then not D. And once I've done that, I see that at lines 4 and 5 now, I have what I need to do hypothetical syllogism, to get rid of the C, and to get if B and A, then not D. And now I'm super close to my conclusion. Now I'm ready to do exploitation. The exploitation that I was anticipating earlier, exploitation on line 6 is going to turn this conditional into this conditional, which is my conclusion. question 4, I only have one premise, so I'm thinking that this is going to be pretty simple. I'm just going to have to use the rules I know on line 1 to see what happens and to see if I can get something that looks like this. So I'm just going to start with associativity on 1. It's going to produce that. And then I'm going to simplify. The reason I did that was because I wanted to get the Q and R on their own, because I only have a Q and an R in my conclusion. So if I do associativity, I get the Q and R alone in their own pair of brackets. And now once I simplify, I'm going to have Q and R on their own straight up. I'm going to do double negation then on 3. I'm going to do that because I think eventually, the step after the next one, I'm going to do De Morgan's, hoping to get my conclusion. So I'm going to do double negation on this. And now I'm going to do De Morgan's on line 4. And remember, De Morgan's, I bring one of these negation symbols into the brackets, negating the Q, negating the R, and also turning the conjunction operator into a disjunction. And that's my conclusion. So it was pretty straightforward. Question 5. Well, I'm going to simplify line 1 twice. Maybe I'll simplify both of the lines twice because each is a conjunction, but I'm just going to start with line 1. Simplify it again. Now I've got another conjunction, so I may as well just simplify that. What am I going to do now? Simplify it again. Okay. I think I'm going to do transposition on this line to make it simpler. If I do that, I'm going to get rid of the negations. So line 3 rather, becomes if T then Q via transposition on 3. Okay, what am I going to do with 2? Well, I could simplify it like I did with line 1, but I also see that here I have a T and here I have a T, which means if I do commutativity on this conjunct to get the T where the not R currently is, I'll be able to use distribution on the whole thing, and that might be something that I can work with. So I'm going to do commutativity on 2 and then distribution on 8 to give me this. Now I see that one of the disjuncts involves a not R. I think I can build up from the R that I have on line 6 a negation of this disjunct that I have on line 9, because I can add something to R, use the rule of addition, and then I can convert the disjunction that I'm going to create via the rule of addition into a conjunction, and the conjunction is going to be this but negated. And that's going to be cool because that's going to enable me to use the rule of disjunctive syllogism to get T, and that seems like something I want because T then enables me to do modus ponens to get Q, and Q is at least part of my conclusion. So I'm going to start doing addition on line 6 to give me R or not S. So I'm going to get it ready for De Morgan's by first using double negation on 10. Double negation on 10, turning the R into a not R. Now I'm going to do De Morgan's on 11, turning that disjunction into this conjunction. And then I'm just going to do commutativity on this conjunction because that will make it a negation of the disjunct that I have on line 9, and then I'll be able to use disjunctive syllogism. So I'm going to do commutativity on 12, then disjunctive syllogism lines 13 and 9 is going to give me T. Disjunctive syllogism 913. So now I have T, I can get Q, as I said before, via modus ponens, 714. Oops. The font size is kind of jumping all over the place. And now I have a Q on line 5. That's half of my conclusion. Line 15 rather. Line 5, I have a P, which is another part of my conclusion. What I think I can do is I'm going to add these together via conjunction, because I know that the biconditional that I have up here, if I applied material equivalence to this biconditional, I would have a disjunction of two conjunctions. One of the conjunctions would be P and Q. The other disjunct would be not P and not Q. So I have the materials to form one of the conjunctions. That one of the conjunctions that is one of the disjuncts of the disjunction that I could get if I applied material equivalence to this. That's such a mouthful. But I'm going to just go through it step by step. So I'm going to put P and Q together by conjunction on 15 and 6. And now I have this complex sentence. I can just add anything to that via the rule of addition. So I can get everything I need to then make a biconditional. So I'm going to add to this the other conjunction that I mentioned before. So I'm going to add to this conjunction of not P and not Q. And now I can turn this into a biconditional via material equivalence. Q if and only if P. Material equivalence on 17, and that's my conclusion. Okay, I'm trying to get a conditional if Z then G. Well, I'm going to just start by simplifying what I have on F, on line 4. I'm going to isolate not P, because I can then use it with what I have on 3 via disjunctive syllogism to get T. So I'm going to, simplification on 4 gives me not P, disjunctive syllogism 3 and 5 is going to give me T. Now I look at my other premises. I'm going to just do transposition on that, get rid of the negatives, the negations. Transposition on 2. And then I see that I have the materials on line 1 and line 7 to do a hypothetical syllogism, because the antecedent here is the same as the consequent here. So I'm going to get if T then G. And now I've already gotten T, so I have the materials to do modus ponens and get G. Of course, I didn't need to do hypothetical syllogism up here. I'm just re-looking at it now. I could have just used T up here, modus ponens, to get B. And once I had B, I could have used double negation to turn that into not B. And then I could have used not B in conjunction with what I have at 2 to get not G, which is G. But I went the other way. I did hypothetical syllogism. Regardless, I end up in the same place. Okay, now if I look at my conclusion, I see that it involves a G, but it also has a Z in it. But there is no Z in my premises. This is something that I could have noticed actually at the very, very beginning. When I'm looking at my conclusion, I don't see any Zs in my premises, so I immediately think, when I get close to getting my conclusion, I'm probably going to have to introduce that Z via the rule of addition. And so now I'm super close. What I'm going to do is introduce the z via the rule of addition. And then I'm going to use material implication in some way to get me my conclusion. So I'm going to use addition. I'm going to add to the g a disjunction operator and not z. And I make it a not z because I see here z is the antecedent. And if I'm going to turn a disjunction in to a conditional via material implication, I'm going to need whatever's at the front and whatever is on the left-hand side of my disjunction to have a negation symbol in front of it. So I've added not z, add addition on 9, 9. Then I'm going to do commutativity on that, put it in the order that I want it. Now I'm ready to do material implication, turning it into if z then g, which is my conclusion. Final question. This one strikes me as being really easy. It's going to be a matter of constructive dilemma again, because here I have a disjunction of R and V. I see that R appears in my premises here and V appears here. Both of them are consequence of conditionals, and at the same time I have a disjunction as one of my premises, and each of the disjuncts is an antecedent of those same conditionals. So I'm going to isolate this conditional and this conditional, which I can super easily because they are just conjuncts in a conjunction. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to get this conditional on its own, simplification on 1, then simplification on 2 to get this conditional on its own. Then I'm going to put those two conditionals together via conjunction 4 and 5. And now I can use constructive dilemma on 3 and 6 to get me a disjunction of R and V, which is my conclusion. So it really was a super, super simple proof.